Yeah, we're in it.
We're in it. We're recording. Awesome.
Guys, we're dangerous. We're in it.
We are dangerous.
Dangerous, or safe dangerous?
Well, this show's dangerous. There's no doubt about that.
Weirdly enough, our channel still exists on YouTube, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but my YouTube channel that got banned in 2021 was returned to me. That I got like a week ago, or maybe a week and a half ago, I get an email from YouTube, and they're like, hey, you have till 2025, September 2025 or something like that to appeal the banning of my channel. So I'm like, okay, why not? You know, what do I have to lose? It's banned. I haven't used it since 2021. Why not, appeal it? So I didn't think much of it. And then it said that they were going to have a human actually review the appeal. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I wrote a little explanation on why I was protesting the banning of the channel or whatnot. Didn't think anything of it. Literally a couple hours later, I get a email from YouTube saying it was, and they told me it could take as much as like 3 to 5 days because a human's going to review it or whatnot. And in a couple hours, it was given back to me and reinstated. I mean, I'd lost some subscribers, but many of them are there. It was like 5,200 or something like that, 5,300. And then all my archives were there. And I'm just like, this is crazy. So I don't know.
Was that your first appeal? Was that the first time you appealed it? Because I've appealed it and didn't get mine back.
Yeah, no, during COVID, I appealed a bunch just for the heck of it. And they kept just basically saying no. So I gave up on that a long time ago. So it was weird how quickly they approved it. And then I'm like, hey, for the heck of it, let me start uploading everything during that whole COVID era to date and see what happens. I mean, just obviously I had a lot of doctors on in 2021, 2022, 2023. So I'm like wondering, like, as I upload these, are they going to start flagging those? Well, I'm in the process of like uploading everything from when I got banned and nothing negative has happened. No strikes, no. So I don't know what's going on, but maybe.
Are you getting excited?
Well, I'm not getting excited. Obviously, just like we've said all along, like you can't depend on any platform. We've had this conversation about Rockfin recently, right? And you can't put all your eggs in one basket because you never know what could happen. But I think that the opportunity of reaching some of those normies who have been on YouTube is a good thing. I'm also wondering if this is...
I think YouTube is hurting. I really do. I mean, because, Johnny from my show has gone in and like looked at their ads, and dude, they want to bang you with an ad every 2 minutes. And that's a big push, of course, to get you to sign up for their premium content. But I mean, they're putting out that many ads. Like, what does that mean?
And I wonder if it's because like they're trying to take on Rumble. I wonder if they finally see Rumble as a threat, that they're like, hey, if we keep banning and having such ridiculous censorship, all these people are just going to move over to Rumble. And then Rumble's going to be known as that platform where, like, hey, I can get some alternative views. YouTube's completely, scraped of anything like that. So I wonder if it's like now maybe they're seeing Rumble as a threat and they're like, hey, we can't, ban everything and everyone because eventually it's going to be like just YouTube kids.
Well, I think also like listening habits have changed big time. The last stat I heard, it was over 50% are now watching YouTube on their TV. So that could be something as well, as they're looking at the places people watch and what the ad experiences could be like. But that was the last stat I heard, is it's now over 50% are watching on their TV versus that over 50% watching on their computer or their mobile device.
I wonder if that would mean that some of the shows that they banned, they would return to me. But I've appealed like 5 times. Maybe.
How do you appeal? Do you have to wait for them to invite you to appeal, Ricky?
Back in the day, you could appeal every time you got a strike, right? And then eventually when I got banned, they just literally gave me no opportunity to appeal. But before that, when I was getting shows removed and strikes or whatnot, you can appeal. And I forget what the process was, but it gave you like a option to appeal, and you could do that. Most of the time, like Maryam said, it was pointless. It's not like they ever, actually reviewed it and said, hey, no, you're right, it's not medical misinformation. But that's what made this time a little weird, was that they reached out to me out of nowhere. I got an email on that Gmail account that, that was banned. And I'm like, oh, this is weird. So then I look at it, and they said that, hey, we're going to permanently, because apparently they're saving everything. So they're banning your stuff, but they're keeping your stuff because And once they reinstated it, it was all there. It was like everything from episode 300 and whatever it was back, everything was there, like hundreds of episodes. And I'm just like, wow, they had it all. And even subscribers were there, like the channel. I even had a couple playlists with documentaries that I was creating and whatnot. It was all there. Everything was there. So I'm like, they've kept everything. So I think for some reason they were giving me the opportunity to appeal prior to maybe they have like just a lifespan that they keep your stuff and then eventually they permanently remove it from their storage. But that was kind of the explanation I was getting was like, hey, you have a little bit of time to appeal this. And if you don't, eventually your channel is going to be completely, removed or deleted. So, and then I'm like, okay, I didn't even know my channel still existed. So I appealed and it was back. So, but the weird thing is like all the episodes that I'm uploading throughout that whole COVID era are basically all COVID related. I had like Brooke Jackson, the Pfizer whistleblower. I had just like endless amounts of somebody needs to mute. Oh,
Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. To me, it was kind of just weird that they're just letting me upload things. So I think maybe Rumble could be a threat. Maybe they're struggling. Maybe they're looking at graphs and ones and zeros and they're like, hey, we got to do something. Because in the future it doesn't look good.
Rumble's
Maybe it's a
biggest
trap,
problem.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
I feel like it's a trap, and they're like expanding the window so that we can all sync ourselves when they next employ like thought police, attack version X.
Mousetrap.
I agree.
Get us all to walk. Get us all to walk into it.
It's a trap.
I agree. I think also Rumble is the same as YouTube. It's just the conservative wing of now YouTube, and this is the golden age, so they're going to give a reprieve and make people think and then clamp down again.
Well, Rumble's biggest problem is the same thing Rockfin ran into. If you just go hard, if you're just grabbing all the banned people, you're going to lose everybody. And so it's like if you don't get those cat videos and all that stuff, it's just an echo chamber. And you're just going to be talking to the same people and you're never going to grow it. You need to do those normal, prank shows. They got that bikini show, which is great, but I guess I've heard on the streets. I don't know anything about that, but, if you don't do any normal stuff, you're never
How about
gonna,
if you do a show in a bikini?
I mean,
Now
you'll
you're
probably
talking.
get more views.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen all the girls like in gaming, streaming, and all this stuff? Like they're just like pretty girls who are wearing, just revealing clothes, and they suck at video games, but they've kind of hacked.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. We're just watching, and they're just sucking at video games.
The more technology we get, the more monkey we become. It's just unbelievable. I've never felt society being like, I have this weird thing where everyone's getting dumber. I'm like, well, I think that people just are saturated in useless knowledge. I think the data has changed. So they're like, hey, name me 5 presidents. And these chicks are like, well, I mean, there's just different data. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like because of shows like ours, we've seen more people have more data from what I think is most important on what is really going on than ever before.
Well, they're recirculating our data from years ago.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
I want to share that I did a Rumble 2 weeks ago about Arcturus and the solar flares. They put it on private without just mysteriously. And then this Friday, I just energetically felt the comments were off, and they just decided to turn off the comments halfway in the show.
Yeah, I mean, it gets like, Twitter, I love Twitter. There's sometimes I feel like Twitter is the greatest town square we've had, where like you introduce some topic and you instantly find out what everybody thinks. But there's just so many bots now, dude, just creating chaos between people and fighting with each other that you really just got to ignore them.
Well,
I'm more censored now on Twitter than I was when Dorsey was in charge.
Yeah, I guess it's like,
How about
what are
you
you
guys?
talking about?
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah.
yeah.
They let me back on Twitter the day after Trump's inauguration. I mean, it's kind of the same sort of thing Ricky had, but with Twitter.
just talk about the Roman Empire, so nobody cares about banning me for
Nobody
anything.
messes with you. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
smart.
I had
You keep it
Elon
right
share me
there.
finally last week.
Oh, that's great.
That's where some cash, they say.
What was the
One
tweet?
share.
What
big
was the
bucks.
tweet that they
It-
shared, Jeremy?
It was about the tallest Roman emperor, Maximinus Thrax, and it was about how his leadership style was basically what screwed him. So he ended up sharing that tweet.
Dude, you beat me. I was gonna write the same thing.
I'm a little gun shy though about uploading old content, man. I have some real bangers that are on Rumble only that I didn't put on YouTube.
Try it, and if they give you a strike, take it right back down.
Well,
Don't ask Alana Freeland to come on your show, for God's sake. You'll get a strike immediately. You start talking about the space fence, shit like that. Get
Well,
those
that's
sweet
what I was
ladies on
talking about.
Celeste Solum, too. Same thing. You get these sweet ladies. You start talking about FEMA or the space fence, and it's like,
You're basically like a lot of people on the show. You're old school dangerous, and they don't forget. I mean, I know Ricky got his thing back, which probably we should be asking if Ricky's
Yeah.
compromised right
he's
now.
controlled
If
up.
he's been, he's been approached by Big Soda to promote.
Yeah, did you have to shill for Big Soda to get your YouTube channel back?
yeah, I did. I had to.
I sure do love this new Coke.
He had to get MAGA on his back too. He's got a
Oh.
back tattoo now.
I am
well,
fighting.
whatever.
It's so crazy. Just the fight that's going on right now with Mega and that, they just cannot understand that arresting people for vandalism and charging them with domestic terrorism is a slippery slope. Now, I'm not talking about blowing up cars and stuff. Obviously, that's taking it to another level. Or if it's even real, pulling some old lady out of her car. That's not, to me, keying cars. Keying cars is vandalism, and I don't see it as terrorism. And they're just going, oh, if it's politically motivated, it's terrorism. I go, that's a slippery slope, man. If you start labeling anything political that goes against the state as terrorism, we're all in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
Well, it's even worse than that too, legally, because thanks to the Patriot Act, we're the homeland, and this is a battlefield. And if you engage in that, you could be labeled as a domestic terrorist, which isn't just some sort of pejorative, it's also a legal term. And that means that you can be disappeared with no rights, black bagged, taken to Guantanamo Bay, held without being able to speak to an attorney, and that's the reality of it. So it's more than just telling, let's not try and tie these people up with domestic terror. It's like, you be very careful with that, man,
There
because
should be no.
So how do you
distinctions.
handle the violence then? from one
race,
side?
domestic terrorism? It
how do
should
you
just
ha-
be
Violence
there are
is
laws.
one thing.
There
What
are
we're
laws.
What we're talking about is keying a car. I mean, I don't like it. I don't think it's right, but we're talking about keying a car.
But there are
That's-
penalties for that.
Right. But
Oh,
is
for
it
sure.
domestic terrorism?
No, there shouldn't be any distinctions at all for any of that, whether it's keying a car or strapping a bomb to you. Like, all of those things are illegal, and there are processes for all of them. That's not
I agree.
new.
I can agree
There
with
shouldn't
that.
be race-based. There shouldn't be hate stuff. There shouldn't be terrorism. It
Exactly.
should all be, do you have the mens rea? Did you do the actus reus? And then there are.
It's this
sport,
thing
is it
I'm
a
talking
crime?
about right now, which is what I've learned from Twitter, which is good fascism, bad fascism. And this notion that there's people that they're cool with fascism as long as you're going after the people you don't like, and they're willing to completely sacrifice all of their morals and their beliefs if it means going after the bad people. But the minute that comes back the other way, then it's bad fascism. And I'm
That's
like,
how we got
there's-
into Iraq. Like, that's how it's ideas like that got us into Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's like, well, this is the justified war. It's a good one. It's the thought process can't change based on who's in power, right? Either it's right or it's wrong. It's terrorism or it's not. I think it's like it can go way too far, man. Like, you're talking about keying a car.
Have they really been doing that with key in the cars? Like,
Yeah, I
is
mean,
this
you
fearmonger?
see
Is it just,
fucking
like,
cat turd
exaggeration?
out there. Oh, look at this domestic terrorism here. Who's a chick trying to keep people trans out of the bathroom in Washington, D.C.? She saw them, they were dancing. She's like, look at these domestic terrorism. And it's a talking point given out to everybody and they're all just labeled domestic terrorism, because this is the game. Because the game is to get you to be okay with them, like Charlie said, just fucking black bagging people.
Well, if
It's the pendulum, right? We're always worried about the pendulum going too far to the other side. I mean, James,
That was
he calls it the
scripted. I
woke
mean,
right.
the
It's
writing
a
was
fucking
on the
problem.
wall that was going to happen, in my opinion.
The problem is the right's way better at doing crazy shit than the left is. The left is good at chaos, and the right is good at throwing black bags over people's heads and making them disappear.
It's my theory on that, like, everybody's racist, but the reason they hate white racism is because they're just the best at it. Like, they're just better at like comedy, racist comedy, and all that stuff. And that's why they get mad. I mean, everybody, it's like this whole thing now with anti-Semitism. They're like, hate is everywhere. I'm like, hate has always been everywhere. Now you're getting it, and you're a saggy diaper about it. It's like, dude, go back. I know comics who are working in Hollywood that were just like, yeah, I'm racist. I'm racist against white people. And they were like, yeah, dude, it's great. Ha 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 ha. Here's a new job. And this is the whole thing. Everybody's getting it now. Monka?
I think that anti-Semitism thing is such a trap, and I realize what's happening right now. So the JFK reveals had tons of stuff about Israeli intelligence. Everybody's glomming onto that and retweeting it, whatever. I made a connection to something I haven't heard anybody else make a connection to. There are all these articles in the Wall Street Journal. I don't know if it's in other news about these law firms. Trump is going after all the big law firms for some reason or another that's supposed to be vindictive, whatever. But one by one, these law firms are making deals with Trump. So Paul Weiss, I think, said they would give $40 million of pro bono work. Another one, a big one, maybe Skadden Arps or whatever, $100 million of pro bono work if Trump leaves them alone. And both of them cited drafting anti-Semitism legislation free was going to be one of the things that they do. So they're going to get that stuff drafted free outside of the government and just install it. And the other thing is, if all the big law firms make these side deals with Trump, this is an old trick, none of them is going to be able to represent the resistance against that, the counter arguments. It's like if you're getting a divorce, go talk to all the divorce lawyers in your neighborhood, in your area, so that your spouse can't get representation. It conflicts them out. It's an old trick. So I feel like that's coming, like soon, that that has been a trap.
Well, Monica, the weird thing about that too, and I don't know if you saw this, that RFK has been talking a lot about through HHS about anti-Semitism, and it's like, why? There's other things like vaccines and stuff we could be worrying about.
It's a hygiene issue? Is that?
I don't understand.
Is he making like a Nazi reference? But yeah, no, I don't know why. I don't know what all the myriad psyops that are coming under his umbrella. But I'm not surprised that they
That's why
that.
I've stayed away from the Israel.
Health and safety.
Well, RFK didn't get any mainstream coverage until he kissed Shmuley's butt. And then it was like the next day that he was getting Elon's endorsement and Jack Dorsey's endorsement. Like, we all saw that coming. I don't buy it that everyone's racist. That's just like the permission structures that Axelrod and Obama pushed through back in 2008 to make us think we're all racist. But I don't buy it. Like, we crossed that bridge in the 70s and the 80s. This is all freaking manufactured.
Well, I think you're taking it too literal. That's
I'm newly racist, though. I wasn't racist before.
I mean, everybody makes
years.
jokes about everybody. That's the point of it. I don't hate anybody.
Exactly.
You know, that's the joke. The joke is that I believe there are no protected classes. There should be no protected classes, and that everyone should be open to criticism and jokes, which is what is kind of being pushed right now. They did it with the gay community. Now they're doing it with the Jews.
But you know how it is, Sammy, on the school bus. The person that's the most sensitive to the jokes is going to get it twice as bad for twice as long.
Yeah.
You have to develop thick skin for it. And right now there's a certain group that just whenever you criticize them, they act like hysterical cows.
They also put in these policies that made things extreme, like to get people really tuned into the transgender issue and really divided over it. They did things like your teachers can facilitate whatever, and you can't tell the parents,
Right.
and that'll make people get off the couch and have an opinion about something that they really just wanted to be polite about. Because I'm with you. I was certainly raised in kind of post-racist America is what it felt like to me. You would really get in trouble if you said anything like that.
But
Yeah.
is it actual Jews on the street who are getting their panties in a bunch over this shit? Or is it just like the kind of like alt-right media personalities who are shilling for, the Israel psyop?
Yeah.
I believe that what's happening here is the last firewall to true power, to true understanding the power structure, are the Jews. So they have to, or the theory of the Jews. So the Jews have to fucking put their foot down. Because if you go, okay, that's why like they're freaking out about everyone talking about Zionism and not Jews. Because you're like, okay, it's not Jews, which I don't think it's Jews. And you go, oh, it's Zionists. And now they're like, oh, you're just trying to find a back door to going where we don't want you to go, which is what is the power structure going on in the world? Who are these other people? Who's running everything? Is the illusion of our democracy, is our illusion that our president is the big leader of the whole thing? Is that all a lie? And if that is a lie, who's really running it? So that's it. And it's just like through the years of trauma from the Holocaust and all that stuff, the Jewish community has just been bombarded and trained to be like, the circle the wagons be around anybody that that it gets criticized within their community. And I don't see any other group that does that. Like the reaction to the JFK files is like, so it's just the Jews? No, we're not saying that. We're saying there were some Jews involved. They represent a certain group of people, and then people start to lose their mind.
10 years ago, you absolutely could not be having this conversation. Why did it
100%.
change? But why did it change? The powers that be want this conversation to happen.
Yes,
I don't
There is
absolutely.
something about that.
Absolutely.
There's something about that as well, for sure.
Absolutely.
For
Can
sure.
I share something that I went to look on YouTube to see if I can do yet another appeal, and they said your channel won't be back on YouTube. We've taken a careful look at your channel again and confirmed that it violates our community guidelines. We recognize the disappointing news, but our goal is to keep the YouTube community safe and support.
Bees are Nazis. Bees
now
are
I
Nazis.
tell you-
If they have enough on you, Miriam, they don't
Yeah.
need to trap you the way they need to trap Ricky.
Yeah,
Right.
Ricky's too nice. That's Ricky's problem.
But my point is, Ricky, there's nothing that I have shared in my content that is more, it's in the same vein. You've probably had more experts. So just to show you what the fuck.
And it says to keep the community safe. So I have a son who's 22 who has Down syndrome, and I may go to hell for having allowed him to be exposed to the evil stuff that's on YouTube. He is not safe. You cannot fix it. It is so hard. You put the restricted mode on, it goes off every time you leave and come back.
Yep.
I mean, they're not safe. He's not safe. Political discussion is what the public forum is for, no matter how off the wall. If you want to overthrow the colonial government of England and the United States, that crazy kind of talk that founded this country, that you can't say. But it is so unsafe on YouTube, and they don't allow you to censor it.
It's true that a lot of these content are recirculating information that we shared when it was dangerous all these years. I will share that now that I don't give a crap about the Fake and Gay Politics Circus show, that I've been looking at this world of ascension and seeing, doing pattern recognition on who are these people and why are they allowed to say certain things, just looking at the spiritual world, and then even approaching some people and they're reticent to do an interview, and then noticing it's the same crap where there's all of these people who are banking on the spiritualness, but it's like a Blavatsky level. It's not the truth. So it's just interesting to see it in the spiritual astrology ascension community.
Well, the thing is, a lot of us can live in a illusion that the censorship's getting better, right? Because it's all a matter of what you're talking about. I mean, you did, obviously a lot of work on the George Floyd story. That's a topic I haven't hit on. Maybe that was, yeah, you have the book right there. Maybe that's, so it's like every platform. It's same thing with Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Like some people are saying, hey, I'm seeing less censorship. Some people are saying I'm seeing more censorship. And it's all based on like what topics you're hitting on. And that's the problem with all this is that we think that nothing should be off limits. And none of these platforms are actually censorship free because it's just a matter of what you're talking about. If you're talking about stuff that they agree with, they'll let it go. If you're talking about things they don't agree with, they're gonna, shadow ban.
I don't think so. I think it's more like individually targeted.
Yeah.
My last YouTube strike was for playing a clip of a Brett Weinstein video that still is live on YouTube. It's in its entirety, but I got a strike for playing a clip of it. So I think it's totally individualized.
I would have very much. I was just going to say the same thing. It's who you are and what you know. I know a lot.
There's certain there's certain bigger influencers that seem to be able to talk to whoever and it's totally fine, which is what I don't quite understand.
I'll give an example. Let's say now in the news, there's a whole movement to free Derek. I could have told you that's part of the script. And yes, on one layer, he did not get a fair trial. And he, Alex Jones, Trump, they represent we the people. However, like someone says, maybe Ben Shapiro, because Daily Wire is instigating the pardon. Maybe Ben Shapiro will have you on the show. No, because I'm going to say that he was an operative that went to the School of Assassins and that graduated as a cop and was being trained in Germany.
That's so true.
So they're not, it's one layer of truth, but if they know that you know the truth, they're going to fuck with you. They just like they they know this footage that Dani got banned is somewhere else, but yet they're effing with her.
So when I had to pay $3,000 to get my Instagram back, and I'm just an idiot because as soon as I got back, I kept pressing them, right? So what I wanted to do was test Instagram. So I started doing reaction videos. And what I would do is I would take the reaction video. I would take a video that had, let's say, hundreds of thousands of views, if not millions of views. And I would just do this. I would just point to it, right? And it was like an Asian going hard on Asians or whatever it was within cultural Marxism acceptable. And just me doing this. That's it. Bang, strike, shadow ban, bam. So it's totally set up to like it's individualized. And that's my biggest problem. So, as Mark Zuckerberg goes around talking about, I'm a cool guy, I do jujitsu. I'm like, you haven't changed jack shit. You're the exact same guy. I had a friend of mine, Tino Sanchez, he comes on Tinfoil Hat a lot, and he had a video that was pretty risque, but it was super simple. And I always told him, dude, that there's a couple things that blow up: dumb, violent, and anything that will piss people off. If it will
and tits and ass.
Yeah, I put that under dumb. Oh yeah, dumb, dangerous, violent, or dumb, dangerous, cultural Marxism, right? Those are the ones that get promoted. Like I had one about my pronoun, and it went to almost 1 million views instantly. And my buddy put out his video, and it went to 2 million views instantly. He's like, "You're totally right. If it's stupid, it's violent, it's dangerous." Or it's cultural Marxism, it blows up, bang. And Mark Zuckerberg, if you watch, it's like there's so much dumb comedy thriving right now. There's so many like insane clown posse comics who think they're Led Zeppelin out there because they're packing out because Instagram will, and that's nothing against the insane clown posse. I've met them, they're nice guys. But it's like they're just selling out these huge venues with the dumbest of dumb. And they walk around like they're Led Zeppelin because everything is about exposure. It's like we're finding out, Ben Shapiro wasn't big. People didn't like it. They really didn't like him. It's just the Daily Wire was spending so much money on ads that they get the front page. It's my thing. Same thing with Lex Friedman or whatever his name is. Like
totally.
That guy just is like, I mean, I know he does jujitsu and all that stuff. And like, he's the most boring interviewer I've ever seen, but every day I just go on show YouTube and he's on the front page.
Like
But I wonder, I wonder what
how
triggers.
is
I wonder what
Sorry.
triggers this change though. Like Ricky's changed. Darren, didn't we just recently have the YouTube tell us that we don't like your channel too? Like you're not gonna. And then they switched as well, and now I think we won an appeal, and they
They gave us a
reevaluated
strike
it.
back,
And
yeah.
what?
We won a strike appeal for the first time.
They didn't
Probably
remove
around
you
the same time
completely.
frame as Ricky, because we got like probably 12 or 15 strikes over the last like 3 years or 4 years, and you appeal them all. You just hit the button, appeal, and they just said no to all of them. But then the same thing about 2 months ago, they said yes to one.
But if they removed you completely, like there's no hope.
If you're removed completely, you're probably fucked.
Sayonara, baby.
Well, how's like Candice Owens on YouTube though? Is what I don't
Because
understand.
she's compromised.
She's
She's not giving you 100% truth. She's positioned.
He's playing a role.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also
Come
fits into
on.
what I'm saying. It causes chaos. They love if you're going to piss people off, they'll promote the shit out of you because that adds to the anxiety that these energy vampires feed off of. The more we fight with each other, the more they feast. And that's why she, even if a lot of stuff she's saying, she's maybe not giving the whole truth, but there's a lot of truth to what she's saying. They just know it pisses people off.
Well, they have to position the people. The people can't be wild cards like me that might say something
Correct.
that's not
And
truthful.
she comes in so big. It's almost like it's almost too much of a play for them to completely ban her. It's like too much that becomes too obvious about what's happening. So like they don't want anyone on this show super blowing up. They don't want it. We are dangerous. But you know, someone like Candice comes in, does huge numbers. It also sells a lot of ad revenue for them. So they have to kind of play a game.
But there's no way Candice is super independent. Did you guys see the video she put out last year where she's like, my poor husband, his weirdo wife is reading all these white papers about flat earth. Like there was no point to that video except to kind of seed the groundwork for her to replace Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think it's a balancing act for YouTube because anybody who's ever been in, you know, a board meeting or some, you know, any business meeting, they're looking at graphs and it's like, okay, well, she's saying a lot of, you know, somewhat dangerous stuff. She's, you know, doing a lot of stuff with Kanye West. She's doing, you know, she just talking about some controversial topics, and she's done vaccine documentaries. She talks openly about vaccines. But like I think Sam said, you have to look at the ad revenue, like the amount of money they would lose, you know, banning somebody permanently like that would be crazy. I mean, it was kind of like the same thing with Joe Rogan and Spotify. I mean, maybe Spotify, their heart was in the right place and they backed him because of that. But more than likely, it's because they knew they were going to make him a lot of money. And
well, it'd be like the Dallas Mavericks trading Luka. Like everyone's like, you're dumb. If Spotify let Joe Rogan go, that is the biggest show of people talking, they would look like idiots. So they kind of got to compromise with him in a way that allows him to stay there. I don't know. That's my opinion.
But it's also like Smith Mundt and narrative control, and they have their grimy hands in all of these platforms. So they need these people to spew their bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kansas actually says a lot of stuff I agree with. Rogan.
Yeah, I do too. I mean,
Well,
I
that's
know
the
I don't
beauty
agree
of
with all of it.
Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's still controlled delivery of
It's like
information.
the Rolling Stones. If Tavistock put out something that wasn't good, it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, 100%. And also what we see is like they build up a brand and then they have zero problems with controlled demolition, meaning like with the Daily Wire. Like the Daily Wire was cooking with gas. And then it was like this one issue that they couldn't move off of that completely torpedoed their whole thing. But they do that all the time. They do it with movie stars, like the movie stars, like Jennifer Lawrence. Like they built that up and then they're like, yeah, go after Trump. And it just annihilated her career. But once you're bought and sold, that's the game you got to play. So Ben
did it with
Shapiro,
Vice.
you have
Also
to play
think
the game.
about with Ben, like how did they start initiating is it because of Candice Owen and her movie that they're the ones who are initiating this free Derek petition and it's Ben Shapiro that all of a sudden you're covering the Derek Chauvin. So my point is, where do they get their missives from to like, now is the time we're going to hit, because two of the officers people don't know are already out and it's part of the script. Like, I knew that this is going to occur because it's dribble with the psyop for ad nauseum. So again, it's like, where do they get the directions from?
I think some of it's just like car makers when there's a recall on a car and they're like, listen, we can either fix this and lose a lot of money, or we can say, hey, fuck it, we're gonna get sued, but the profit's gonna outweigh the losses. And that's kind of the same thing with YouTube. I'm sure in some of these cases they're like, hey, there's gonna be some damage done by having this person on the platform, but you know, the ad revenue and some of the money we make off their huge platform, that's, you know, in some cases, I think, especially the people who are like borderline dangerous, but aren't really, you know, there's like lines that they don't go completely over to, you know, down the rabbit hole. I think that they put up with some of it. And I think that's, go ahead.
I was just saying, God forbid they have an actual journalist. That's how I used to make my money as a, you know, and I'm not allowed to have a channel. I've been around for 25 years. So I do think, like, to Sam's point, like, so now I'm only allowed to do like dance videos. Even that doesn't get a lot of play. Like, I think I'm on my fourth TikTok. If I say anything that another person would also say the same thing, like I was bashing on Cuomo when it dawned on him that the jab isn't safe, when they decided that the mainstream is ready. And they banned it within like 2 minutes. So I do think it's individual, which is fascinating how the algos work for certain people that are on some shit list.
Yeah, it's old school danger. It's like everyone that came out during, you know, Pizzagate and all that stuff. They are still in the scope, and new guys coming in, getting huge numbers, dancing around it. They just know they can tell if you're scared. If you're scared of losing everything, then they'll be like, okay, we can keep them on because we can torpedo this stuff if we have to. We have that carrot in front of them. And like a lot of people just don't even want to do that, especially in the comedy community. They just really don't care. It doesn't mean that much to them. They just want to make money, which my dad said, never hate somebody for making $1. But it's just like the ignoring of what's going on in the world is kind of crazy to me. But what can you do?
Yeah, George. I mean, to be honest, I will say, like, to think that I would ever see a Rogan podcast with Dr. Humphreys on and openly having the discussion, it's pretty wild for me because, you know, coming from like, you know, Monica, Maryam, I know some people, you know, the Grimerica guys, you know, we've all been fans of Del Bigtree and a lot of, you know, Wakefield, and been in this anti-big pharma world for a long time. And for the longest time, it seemed like the most censored topic anywhere. I mean, I remember having Dr. Brzezinski on when I just started my podcast, like a couple months after having my podcast, no platform whatsoever. And bots would just say he's pseudoscience and attack me when I was just like, you know, cheering and announcing that I was excited to have a big guest on. And in his documentary, they talked about that, how there's like all these, you know, just people who are just, they have all these fake accounts just basically trying to say that he's not curing cancer and he's not helping people and he's not, you know, and he's killing people, he's a murderer or whatever. And I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. And then to have no platform, and they were even attacking somebody like me, just showed the length they would go to make sure that nobody would talk about him in a positive light. But to think like we've come from there to now that I can have a discussion with somebody about vaccines and the credibility.
Overton window. It's the Overton
Exactly.
window.
And it's in time with RFK, you know, starting to open up the vaccine conversation. And there's a pattern with Rogan. Whenever he has a guest and there's a lot of pushback that this is controlled op, like he just had with Ian Carroll, then they'll let him put someone on to off-gas a little bit of truth. That's my take on it.
I don't know. I mean, I listen to Rogan pretty. I mean, he was a big inspiration when I started my podcast. But even during COVID, I was a huge fan of his, and it was heartbreaking for a while that he would talk about masking helping, and he would talk about things that I'm like, I can't believe he's saying this. I really hope he sees the light at some point. And little by little, I mean, if you were a regular listener like I was, you would hear him just have conversations with people. And little by little, he'd push back. And then he'd push back a little more. And then he'd push back a little more. Then he'd talk about reading RFK's book. Then he would talk about, all these little, and then eventually, I think, obviously he has a huge platform. I think with big platforms comes some responsibility to some extent. And I don't think that he wanted to go fully on board the whole lockdown and vaccines are all, bullshit until he felt truly like, hey, that was the right position. He's done some research and really understands the topic. And then, eventually he came around. And I think he has organically come around. And you could, when somebody talks for that many hours, and Sam will tell you because he hosts 2,000 shows, like when you talk for them, people love Sam because they know he's organic. You can't talk that much and bullshit the whole time. Like at some point, who you are, if it's somebody else, will come out. You're going to see evidence of that. And Rogan has, I mean, how many thousands of episodes and how many more thousands of.
But Joe Rogan's a paid actor. Like, no offense, Sam, as far as I know, you're not a paid actor, but that's how he's in all of our consciousness. He's a paid pretender. So why are we trusting him?
Yeah, but I listen.
News radio was great, though.
Yeah, news radio was great. But let me just say this. As somebody who knows the guy on a personal level, I can tell you exactly how everything happened. I was there. I watched it happen. And it starts with the UFC. Okay. He goes and he works at this thing for free for a long fucking time. And it's like the thing about Rogan is that he's and I'm going to get so much pushback on it, but I'm just telling you, he's the face of two things that didn't exist 30 years ago. MMA and podcasting. And his podcast blows up because he brings all these UFC fighters over and he's got black belt and talking. Now, what I will say about Rogan is this. The things that people give Rogan shit for, like the moon landing and stuff, is what 95% of the country believes. At the center of this juggernaut show is a human being. And I've had conversations with Rogan all the time about like he goes, he shows me his phone. This is who books the phone. That's it. That's the show. I booked the phone. That's how it goes. I also will say this, and this is not something I've ever talked to Rogan about, but I think Rogan knows how to play a game. And that is sometimes he'll get people on to say controversial shit and he'll push back on it, but it gets out. Okay. Like Eddie Bravo is a great example of that. He'd have Eddie Bravo on. He'd be like, Eddie, you're fucking nuts, but it's out. Okay. And he also has to play a little game with the Masters of Mankind. I feel he has, or maybe like the Mike Baker thing. Maybe he actually likes talking to the guy. I don't know. I've never brought that up with him, but that's the organicness of it. I can just tell you, I was in the Comedy Store parking lot when he was talking to Red Band and he goes, he just done Corolla. I think he just did Opie and Anthony. And he was just like, I think I'm going to start a podcast. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. You should totally do it. And it just became something it was today. I mean, I was at the OR when the whole thing kind of rolled out. When he shuts down shows during COVID, because he felt that. Like, that's just my humble opinion based on knowing the guy right there. Obviously I'm not around him 24/7, but I've had a really good relationship with the guy. I'm going to be honest with you. There was a time when I was a tweaker that he didn't have me around, and I get it. Like I was a freaking retard. But that's my whole thing. At the core is a guy that is a human being with super strengths, more than a lot of people I know, but some like human, faults. And that's why people like him. I mean, I'm just going to be like, that is literally everything that I know. I'm talking a lot about Bill Burr right now. I know Bill Burr on a super personal level, and I'm saying that, man, the guy's saying some retarded shit. So I would really come out and say it if I felt like there was something going on. Eddie Bravo, you'll see people call out Eddie Bravo because at some point he did something with his hands and be like, look, this guy's in the Church of Satan. It's like, Eddie's the exact opposite of that. But Eddie will tell you, like, he knows the guy on a personal level. It's like, I don't think there's anyone controlling. I could be wrong, but I mean, based on the personal relationship I've had with the guy, I don't see any of that. Now, in terms of like of me and like people saying I'm controlled and all that, dog, someone who's controlled, and I'm not going at you, Dani, I'm just going at like what I hear on the internet. Like the controlled opposition doesn't sell 40 tickets on a Thursday, okay? Like the place is packed out. They're not driving Mitsubishis and just having money problems because of the women in his life. So like, it's just like I just got into something early, like a lot of you guys did, and it just did really well. And it's just that I want to be a part of nothing. Like if I could somehow do a podcast and feed my family with nobody knowing who I am, I would pick that right the fuck now. I would love to disappear. I would love if nobody, you guys know me. I pop on your shows, you guys do my shows, and then I could walk freely and just never have to deal with any of that bullshit because it just seems horrible to me.
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Sam. If you go back and you listen to like some of the episodes he's done with Alex Jones, where he was like kind of questioning him, right? And Alex wasn't picking up on what he was doing. He's like, no, you don't understand. He's like, I want Jamie to pull this up. And you could kind of tell he was like, what I'm doing is I'm not questioning you because I think you're full of shit. I want the people to like actually see the evidence, and I want the people to realize like, hey, there's actual reasons to why you're saying these things, and and really was kind of talking to Alex like, hey, I'm doing you a favor here, because instead of everybody just saying you're crazy, I mean, he did the same thing with the pizza gate thing. He's like, hey, he's like, bring it up. He's like, look at those emails. You can't tell me those things make sense, right? And he was kind of going over it, and he does that a lot with Bart Sabrell, who's been on this show and has been on my show, the moon landing guy. Same thing. He kind of was asking questions, and questions that he knew the answer to because he's talked about it on the show already. But he was asking those questions because he knew the listeners were thinking those things. So he was kind of giving Bart a opportunity to kind of really put his whole argument out there. So a lot of times these things do happen organically. Even with the vaccine thing, he had I forget which fighter he had on years ago that had a conversation about the Lyme disease vaccine and talked about his wife having an issue with it. And then Rogan sharing his own personal story about it, how his agent or manager had an issue with it and whatnot. And then later when he had Hotez on, like many years later, maybe a year or two later, he had him on. And he was like letting Hotez kind of do his little spiel. But then the Lyme disease vaccine gets brought up. And then he's like, yeah, it got taken off the market because, people were skeptical of it. He's like, no, it got taken off the market because it was harming people. And he's like, no, that's not the case. And then so you could tell like Rogan like kind of caught him in a bullshit lie because he had a personal experience with it and heard personal stories. And, every time you'd see these little tidbits and these things happen organically on the podcast, you're like, okay, this is just one little thing that's going to sway him in the direction. And you know what? Behind that podcast, he is a human being. And in many people in our own personal lives, we've seen this happen where like pre-COVID, there's many conversations you couldn't have with people in your personal life. And then post-COVID, they've slowly come in the direction where now you can at least have a civil discussion about, on topics that were very controversial, and in many cases we stayed away from during holidays or family get-togethers for the sake of getting in heated
It's okay to talk about the jib jab once all the damage has been done.
Hey, Dani needs to run. Let's I know you've got to host your live show, so tell everybody where they can find you.
Having me. Oh, thanks so much, Charlie. And I did just want to respond to what Ricky and Sam were saying. I know a lot of people, so I know probably a lot of you don't know me. I was the lead writer on Plandemic 2 Indoctrination. I know a lot of people in this space who've turned who are now shilling for the dark side, and they're all human beings. I'm not denying their humanity. And I do want to reference the Alex Jones, Joe Rogan, because they did go to the bathroom at the same time, which struck me as a little bit
I've been there, dude. It's literally just a bathroom break.
Okay. Well, thank you guys for having me on. You guys can find me on DaniKatz.com, and you can find all the links there. And this has been super fun. Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Dani. You can catch her on Macroaggressions right now. She's my interview.
Awesome.
Thanks, Charlie.
Guys, do you think there's ever, because I've had this conversation with many other people in our community, like Ryan Christian and many others, where like, do you think that we get so paranoid that we almost have a hard time believing anything organic could happen. Like,
The only time I am wrong is when I give the benefit of the doubt.
I think it. I think
I
it
think being
depends.
highly skeptical is more accurate.
I think it depends, Ricky. I mean, I've lost. I mean, they banned me on Bumble. I'm getting cockroaches in my lunch. I know how dangerous this book is that took me 4.5 years to write, and that it's the most truth on any psychological operation, arguably on the planet. And I wrote it for the future, for the records, because I'm 100% truth. And so I really think it depends. And now in retrospect, having having infiltrators in my company, and am I paranoid? I don't know. I reference Curious George and in this book, and a couple of weeks ago, after someone thought they were being gang stalked, maybe because of me, is what they were suggesting. I had a network all of a sudden pop up called Curious George. Is it a coincidence? Possible, but I'm at a point where I can't even be the awesome fucking journalist that I am.
well, I'm not against being obviously, like, when the government and lies to you all the time, like, they're guilty until proven innocent in my eyes. Like, I completely agree with that philosophy. But I think, like, for example, I remember right after Trump got shot at, Steve and I forget who else was on the call. They're like, "Oh, he obviously, like, it was a setup, it was theater," and I'm like, I'm not saying it's not, but I'm like, why are you so sure of that and or jumped in that conclusion when there's not? There's almost more evidence going in the other direction that there was a conspiracy, but the conspiracy was that he wasn't in on it. That they were trying to take him out. So it's like, to me, it can be dangerous to get too skeptical too quickly, and then Monica, go ahead, jump in.
That just looked so fake. That whole thing was so fake. That assassination thing, and I just feel like he's an actor. He's instituting the turnkey technocracy, like Elon Musk is. It's theater. I mean, the time when we could operate within this system and hope for it to work in our favor is absolutely past. Like, it's a waste of time not to recognize that whole level of the stage, that whole place is just stagecraft. And there's hope. I'm not black pill, but it's not through the process. And Sam, I was texting you, like, this Devin Archer thing. I came on your show to tell you about Hunter Biden's totally corrupt friend, Devin Archer, and how they just keep kicking the can of putting him in jail. Trump pardoned him. These guys are all in it together. And I mean, I'll tell you that whole story some other time, but they're just, the process was trying to put this guy in jail as hard as it could. And Republicans and Democrats at the highest levels cooperated to keep him out of jail. And I think the process tries to work, but it's not going to work. You're not getting satisfaction. I'm never voting in anything federal ever again.
I haven't done that in forever. I mean,
I vote for Ron Paul normally, but once they invaded Syria and Ron Paul kind of gave the nod to Trump, I mean, I love Ron Paul, but I cannot validate the empire acting in my name anymore.
I agree. Can I ask you guys, because I have to jam in a few. Any thoughts on this blackmailing of JFK? Do you think it's real? Because, people watch Candice Owens' Hour special, or she did on it, and they said she never presented any real evidence. And again, going back to, is she just a troublemaker? What is your thoughts on that? I mean, because we all know he's a pussy hound. There's no doubt about that. And he's always been that guy. I don't know why it's shocking. And my whole thing with the truth community is, like, I'm kind of like the Puritan bullshit that goes on within the truth community is annoying to me, because we always see that it's used for blackmail. And as long as you're not hurting people, including children, I don't give a shit what you do. Do your thing. But the notion that I don't know if this is real or not, but based on RFK and how he gets something so right, to get things so wrong is, like, so crazy to me. Like, the Palestinians are the most pampered people in the world. all that kind of crazy, like to bring in, like we talked earlier, anti-Semitism into the health department is like insanity to me. So
Sam,
what do you,
it's a 2-for-1 because on the one hand you get him to discredit himself with his feelings towards the Palestinians, and then you get the casual observer to go, if he's this wrong on the Palestinians, how wrong is he on the anti-vax stuff? And then you start to go, well,
interesting.
maybe he's just totally full of shit. And so you can get him discredited from a pharmaceutical standpoint at the same time.
Or he could be blackmailed. I mean, I don't.
Or he could be blackmailed, for sure. I mean, undoubtedly, like Sam said, I mean, clearly it's a Kennedy thing. It's not like he doesn't have a long list of a massive body count. But
let's even if you guys have seen the interview Dave Smith did with him before the election, Dave actually absolutely ripped him a new one. And it just it didn't make sense. Like, why is his attention so far and so deep into that when health is really supposed to be his main concern?
Well, I think the blackmail thing kind of makes sense. And Candice, I think she likes to jump on things that are trending. So I think she, like with the First Lady of France posing the fact that she has a penis, that took quite a few episodes of her too to really get deeper into the research. So I think right now she's like trying to jump on something that's trending. She's talking about it, and then she just released another episode today. I think she's slowly kind of like doing a deeper dive into it, but she likes the milk to cow. So it's like, this is trending, so let me do multiple videos on this, and instead of just one. And so I think she, business wise, I think that's just her being smart in regards to that. But that's not out of the realm of possibility. The JFK papers, or the declassified papers, I mean, obviously it showed an Israel link. Jack Rubenstein, obviously there's something interesting there. It's the what was the ship that was attacked by Israel? You know what I'm talking about?
The Liberty?
The Liberty, yeah.
By John McCain's father?
Yes. So that link to that, I think there's a lot of like Israel stuff that is coming out, and maybe I think that historically they probably have had their hand in many more huge events than we think or know of. And I think some of that stuff's being uncovered. And I think, when you look at a place that has done an amazing job of staying alive with enemies surrounding them, I think a huge part of that has been blackmail. I mean, obviously the Jeffrey Epstein link, see you, Monica, the Jeffrey Epstein link. And a lot of people talk about that being a Mossad, blackmailing operation. So it's to me, it's like it almost makes more logical sense that he's blackmailed than he's that dumb that he could see through bullshit in so many different issues and topics, but this one issue, this one topic, he's completely blinded by. Because anybody who's pushed back, like Jeremy said, when you see Dave push back on him, like he doesn't even have a logical response. He just kind of and he's usually very quick, and he's cognitive.
Well, and this is a topic from like several years ago too. At the same time, so this should have come up in congressional hearings. This should have come in so many different places. Why now, other than it's useful?
And that rabbi, I mean, that he's so weird. The fact that this guy, hung out with Michael Jackson.
Shmuley.
Yeah. Like the fact that he
dildo salesman who's friends
the
with
guy
the Pope,
with the worst skin ever. I mean, the worst skin ever.
He looks like a goblin.
And he's completely okay with like he talks about his daughter's, like, I don't know, pocket pussy store, or online store, whatever the hell she sells, or anal beads, some weird sexual stuff, like Jewish kosher sexual stuff on this website, and he openly talks about it. It's like, it's kind of weird. I mean, I have kids, like that's not something I would be online talking about.
Seriously.
But you want to sell this and make some money, like go ahead, but I'm staying out of it. I'm not promoting it. So that whole thing, and then Michael Jackson's spiritual I don't know what term he used, but like consultant, he was like, I'm like, this guy is just, how does he get all this pull and influence and whatnot? So who knows, like his backstory? There seems to be a lot of weird stuff, and he's been around for a long time, obviously, with the Michael Jackson link and many others. But he's a weird dude, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find out he's Mossad.
Or a lizard person.
Yeah, or a lizard person.
I mean, like a legit one too, because he's He's extremely sketchy. I doubt Michael Jackson was good friends with him. I think that's probably Shmuley playing that up because Michael Jackson had a huge problem with his people.
Well, yeah. Well, that's why that whole thing is kind of weird. It's also weird that now Candace Owens is talking about Weinstein, the Hollywood producer, actor, or guy, and
Harvey?
saying that he might have been Harvey, yeah, that he might have been innocent, like that he might have, So it's like, it's. I mean, I actually give her credit because she's logically consistent. Where it's like, hey, you know what? Like this kind of goes, against other beliefs I may or may not have, but it might not be the popular thing to say, but she'll say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm all for controversial topics and coming at it from a different angle, but the Harvey Weinstein didn't do it thing, I'm not buying that one. There's too many people that have stories about that
Yeah.
scumbag.
For reasoning. So apparently there's, I don't know. I mean, there's been a lot of people blackmailed in the past. Who knows? Maybe those people did lie. I mean, I don't know. I mean, but he has a
No,
long.
he's a pig.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a
that could be
pig.
possible too. All I'm saying is,
My ex-boyfriend worked at Miramax, and
Yeah, I have friends who know people that know him personally, and they're like, he's disgusting.
yeah. So I wonder why she would take that leap, or what piece of evidence or information she received.
ratings.
Clicks.
Clicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, I didn't agree with her on the making of a millionaire. Making of a murder. She was like, she took a bunch of footage from another doc and acted like it was hers. And I believe that's why I was told. I haven't seen it because I already know they framed Stephen Avery for a crime before. The notion that it's impossible for them to have done it again is just nuts. Maybe there's just a space where she feels like I can just be a contrarian on everything.
Well, I think the world needs people like that, right? Like, I mean, she's not going to get everything right, but having people out there who are going to question everything, like I'm okay with that. I'm okay with like saying, hey, you know what? Like, we need people who have the courage to be outspoken and publicly say something that might not be popular, and she might get some shit wrong. Alex Jones got some shit wrong, but I think for the most part, having people out there is a positive for the community. No, nobody agrees.
I agree. Why not? I just fuck
I
say
feel like,
it.
I feel like I'm doing stand up and I'm bombing.
No, you're doing
No.
You're
fine.
crushing, dude. You're
I would
crushing.
like
You're on
to
fire.
say that in the end it's about looshing your energy, and I wish that I had realized it sooner. But when I found out that Bob Monroe coined the word loosh and that instigated the gateway experience probably to learn how to loosh more, I've given them a lot of energy, and that it's not about the black pill, it's about going within and getting your house in order. And in my opinion, I used to think the memo was to be the best version of yourself, and somehow people didn't get that memo, and it's become about being in the digital hamster wheel. And it's like there is a kind of split that's going on between people who are in the 3D, which I define as ego, and then people who are in the 5D that want to be in their heart. And like I've said before, you need your heart to raise your frequency, and it's kind of hard when you create a bioweapon that attacks the heart.
But even the people that are in the be your best self business, like Jordan Peterson, wind up coming completely unglued and disappointing you in the end. It's so frustrating. You see, it starts with clean your room, and you go, yeah, clean your fucking room.
Well,
Right.
it's because it's the digital age, man. It used to be never meet your heroes, but now you don't have a fucking choice. You don't have a choice. You get your meeting your hero, whether you like it or not. There's very few people that just don't have so much presence on the internet that you can't get away from it. Where it used to be a couple of books in a way. I mean, he managed to fucking ruin Napoleon Hill. He probably had a good run though, when back in his day, no one was thinking he was a piece of shit. It took until after he was dead to start digging that stuff up. And so I think that there's a thing of that. I mean, Peterson just turned into a Bond villain though. I mean, he's a special case. He's especially fucking off the wall.
Yeah. Degenerate drug addict, and then comes back, shills his ass off for Israel in a
He's gonna end up. I'll tell you how it
disgusting
ends.
manner.
It ends in a Jordan Peterson mega church. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I think happens.
I think we can't idolize these people. Like, I will give somebody credit for when they say something that makes sense and I agree with, but like I'm never surprised when or shocked when somebody goes completely in the other direction on a different topic. I'm just like, yeah, we're and or when we find out somebody's a piece of shit. You know, it's like, hey, the world's full of flawed human beings. We're all flawed. None of us are perfect, you know. And then sometimes we really like somebody. We want to believe that they're going to agree with us and our own personal views on every single topic the same way. And then when they don't, we're like upset about it. And I'm just like, no, I'm kind of, you know, we've all gone against the grain most of our lives. Like we're used to being around people who think we're crazy. And so it's not to me it's not a new feeling of you know, finding somebody you like and then finding out that they think you're crazy for having, you know, this worldview. So it's just, yeah, I mean, Jordan Peterson, Tim Pool, like all these people, like people get mad at them like, oh, they didn't, you know. I'm just like, that's to be expected. Like you're gonna disagree with them on a lot of things, and that's the way the world should be. Like these issues are complex. Human beings and our worldviews should be complex. Like anybody who just fits in a box, you know, with every. Go ahead.
I want to say this. I'm not Tim Pool big, not even close. I'm not any of these huge shows close. There's a lot of people on Twitter, on Instagram, YouTube, saying, "Oh, Tim Pool, you're a fucking sellout. You're this, you're that." Okay. But a lot of those people at their own jobs wouldn't be saying out loud what they're calling out Tim Pool for. I'm just gonna say, dude, it's like to say certain things, you have to be like, I'm willing to risk it. Not everybody does that. And a lot of people that think these people are sellouts work at jobs they fucking hate, that they would be devastated if they lost, and they play the game there. So I know Tim Pool. I met him. He's a nice guy. You know, nobody's a perfect person. But Tim Pool has an empire that he's building, and he's made a rule that he doesn't want to go in certain things. It's like, I don't hate these people, but everybody here in these rectangles right now has made decisions on what they want from their business. And you're willing to risk it or you're not willing to risk it. And there's enough people out there that are willing to risk it that you could do it. It's just a game, man. We all know if you say certain things, it's going to limit your reach. And the people on the show don't seem to care. And that is the beauty of it. And there's people out there that have a billion, you know, that have huge shows. You know, look at Crowder. He's now going after fucking, you know, APAC. He's obviously at a point where he doesn't care. Good for him. Regardless of what you think of the guy, he's now calling out APAC. Not everybody has those balls. I mean, Rogan's doing it too. But I know Rogan's huge, but you know who's bigger? Fucking the Zionist. So he has to play a fucking game there, because at the end of the day, people run a business. And we here have decided that we want to be more on the true side than on the dollar bill side. And that's my humble opinion.
I think that's a huge thing. You know, dollar sign
like
or
both.
truth side.
Me too. I mean,
I can't say that I necessarily knew that just standing up against the jib jab. And in regards to George Floyd, I mean, I was very much schooled and educated. The things in this book are nowhere else. And but I just was sticking to doing my job as a journalist. So if I had known in retrospect that they would go after my livelihood, you know, I'd definitely think twice.
Well, and like Charlie, you talked to David Icke recently. David Icke's kind of, you know, I love David Icke. I mean, he's an OG in kind of the UK Alex Jones, the UK OG in this community, and but he, you know, him and Russell Brand have been going at it. Him and others have been going at it because he thinks like, oh, they're all controlled op, they're all this and that, you know. And I think somebody like Russell Brand, it's a similar story to kind of Joe Rogan, where he slowly you started to see his content slightly change, and he organically came to these conclusions. And I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence to say otherwise, that, you know. And to me, it's like the infighting, I think, can be a little, you know, counterproductive, right? I mean, if we just start pointing the finger of a lot of people who seem to agree with us on things, but they weren't, you know, agreeing with us long enough then all we're mad at them, you know.
I talked to David about this. We talked about the term black pill being used as the new conspiracy theorist, that they try to slap that on you so that people will be scared to listen to what you're talking about.
It's the equivalent of normies being called conspiracy theorists.
Right.
Conspiracy theorists being called black pill
Right.
is meant to scare them off.
For sure. And what we discussed was how it's not even so much the content, though, you know, we would prefer that they go deeper into it. It's the timing of when you're talking about the content. You know, if you're talking about the vaccines in 2025, who cares? If you're talking about it in 2020, before they come out, that's when it matters. And so where you can sort of measure against the people, their commitment level to the truth is, when did you know it and when did you start talking about it? Because if you didn't know it until just now, first of all, like, if you just figured out that the vaccines are a problem, like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have a hard time taking you seriously with a lot of your other stuff. If you've known that the vaccines were a problem from the beginning and yet you made a conscious decision not to talk about it, then I've got a problem with that as well. Because that's safe conspiracy, and that's horseshit.
It's also important to make the distinction. They're not journalists. They're not like, did they call the FDA and the CDC and Pfizer? No. You know, so they're reading, or it's put together, and you have to think about what's happening behind the camera and how do they get their directions.
We were speaking directly about Ian Carroll, about that situation, because that had been on the radar with David recently, and how, you know, I mean, like, I don't know about you guys, but my X account, I lost it and then I got it back in 2019. So we're, you know, 5-6 years of having it. I don't have 1 million followers. Maybe it's because my content isn't great. No. Or maybe it's because the algorithm won't allow that to happen. Yeah. I get very suspicious when somebody comes onto the scene in the last year or two and has 1 million followers already. That to me is sending off massive red flags. So again, especially and you know, maybe they got right into that stream.
I don't think so.
Know, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I mean, I think it's a possibility, but I don't think so.
They play with numbers. I've shared this before in journalism school. They say use big numbers, like 101 ways to get a man. And they do the same thing where, if you think, like, I had an award-winning movie in this entire country, and I've been doing this for a long time, and they'll just throttle me. And here we are, that I just learned that I will never, my content is vamoose, is gone. So, you know, they have different, they tailor their torture to the person, as I say.
Isn't it
personalized algo?
They figured out the algo, because I don't know if you guys have ever went down the rabbit holes of the people who have made money on, you know, online, and just completely just hacking the system. And there's tons of people out there. I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but there's now fake AI podcasts and there's programs that you can make, right? You put in a topic. This is real. You can look it up yourself. And I forget which, there's 2 really popular websites. You go you go on this website, you literally put just.
Bye, Darren. Go on.
See you, Darren. You literally put on the website the topics you wanted to talk about, and you can just you can copy and paste like an article you like, and they will have 2 people, male and female, or whatever 2 voices you want, talking about these topics in an organic way, and people are uploading it like they're coming up with a podcast names for the hosts, like, and you don't know it's all AI created, and people are making tons of money. And this way you can basically drop podcasts.
Do you have a name for which podcast would this be?
Well,
have you heard which one it is? I mean, the Joe Rogan, that fake AI one, is in the top 200 of comedy all the time.
Well, I'll share. I'll find the YouTube. There's basically YouTube channels that will show you how to do this for people who are looking to make AI podcasts and just make money because, as we know, you have ad inserts, right? You can do. It's really easy. You just put these fake podcasts on. You're talking about topics that are trending or very generic and safe to talk about, and then basically the algorithms will favor you. There's also tons of people that will find there's this guy who used to have a YouTube channel. What was his name? The punk guy, something, I don't know, but he used to talk about like rock bands, right? And like top 5 new metal bands, top 5 this, top 10, the history of a Slipknot or whatever. And he, like, a lot of the bands he talked about, he didn't even like, but he was a tech guy who understood that, like, hey, nobody's talking about these like late 90s, early 2000 metal bands, and there's no new content talking about it, but the algorithms favor them because they're big bands, and so he would just do little videos about this. And his very last video, he did, or right after his last video, he did an interview, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't like any of this shit. I just did it because I knew it was favoring the algorithms." And then even Patrick Bet-David, he talked about the book, and I know that I can't remember now the author or the name of the book, but there's like tons of books and videos online of these experts who understand exactly how to get the algorithm to favor you and whatever. Like, here's a perfect example. One thing that I just remember from watching some of these things, they talked about how like it has to be like really like simple and dumb, right? Like something that you would never think would get a lot of views will get the most views. So like, hey, what's the difference between a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver? Like, post that. And you know what's going to happen? Tons of people are online looking for like, what the hell's the difference between a flathead, or if people are asking Google or Siri or some AI that, oh, what's the difference between the two? And then your video's coming up because these are generic, really simple, dumb questions. So people have figured out all these ways of doing things that favor the algorithms and will get their attention. There's all these people who make money off just selling you this information, like how they hacked it. And your content doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be whatever. You just have to know these little hacks, and you can do that. And then there's also, like Sam talked about, the bots. Like, that's also an issue, right? Like, is it called the dead internet theory? Like the point where like every year more and more percentage of the internet is fake bots, and it's going to get to a point where the majority of the internet is going to be fake bots, and you're not going to know what's real or what's not.
It's already getting there like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole purpose. And I don't know if that's to get at. I think, again, I will always have faith. I'm a white pill person. I'm trying my hardest to stay there. I think love and high vibration will always win. And I think the internet is getting so dumb that people are going to tune out.
Yeah. Well, I think that love and high vibration is more of a blue pill than the white pill. No, nobody got it. Okay,
I got it.
All right, guys, I got a jam, dude.
All right, let's wrap this up. Sammy, where are you going to be? Tell the people where they can find you.
I am going to be this Saturday. I think I'm in Georgia or Tennessee. I don't even know where I'm going. I'm going to the Third Eye Carnival. Going to be there. I'll see you there, Charlie. Then I got Tacoma. I'm taking off the month of May to work on just like my house and all that shit, and then I'll be back on the road after that. And I got a dirty crowd work special about to drop called Potty Mouth. And that's about it, dude. Just very thankful for everything in life, and I hope I didn't upset Dani. I feel like I hope she didn't leave because of that.
But so. No.
She had a scheduled out.
Okay. I just love these shows. Sorry I can't make it all the time. Sometimes scheduling is, but Union of the Unwanted is the best conversation on the internet, and I appreciate you guys.
Yep. I'll see you Wednesday. I'll be on Tinfoil Hat with you.
Can't wait.
And doom scroll. Let's promote doom scrolling.
I'm doing it with Midnight Mike. It's a lot of fun, dude. It's like I say, it's the most educational show. We pack in more education in an hour and a half, like all 1 minute clips, and we just break it down. And it's a great show. It's a lot of fun. It's ADD theater. So check it out. It's called Doom Scrolling.
And it's on your Tinfoil Hat podcast.
It's on Sam Tripoli, youtube.com/Sam Tripoli.
Do you have any plans to come to Florida, Sam?
Always. I love going to Florida. I'm trying to get out there. A friend of mine
you do,
said he'd
keep
give me
me in
stem
mind.
cells. I'll go out
Oh,
there.
I have a clinic that does stem cells as a functional medicine.
Where in Florida are you? What part?
I'm in West Palm,
Oh, nice.
right across the pond from Mar-a-Lago, because I figure they won't shit in their backyard.
I
But
respect that.
the stem cell is in Boca. I can hook you up.
I love Florida.
Yeah,
I would move there. Austin, it's looking like I might want to go to Austin, but we'll see.
No
what
state taxes, both places. Good choice.
happens. Yeah. I love you guys.
Miriam, where can people find you?
people can check out.
I don't mean find you actually, like stalk you. We
No.
Yeah,
probably
give us
don't
your
have that
address.
bullshit going on, but you know what I mean.
People can find me on Rumble on Fridays at 3. I have a show called Truth Lives Here, and they can buzz on over to MaryamHenein.com and go to /GF book if they want to get this book that will be thousands of dollars away after I'm gone. And I'll be starting to do press now that this psyop is recirculating, and it's going to be the 5th year anniversary on May 25th, 2025. So yeah, this full of Freedom of Information Act and internal emails between the government and the MPD. And lastly, you can find me on MaryamHenein.substack.com.
I gotta watch a movie. I want to watch it.
Oh,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I would love to speak about the book.
Yeah,
You
let's
haven't
come-
seen the
let's do
George
it.
Floyd documentary?
No, I need to watch it. I've
Yeah,
been
it's
wanting
good,
to do it for a while.
It'll mess you up.
Yeah, email
It's
me.
only an
and
hour.
I'll watch it, and then you can come on and we can discuss
love
everything.
that.
I'm
Yeah.
down.
Okay, cool.
I want to mention the people that had to drop off early. Dani Katz, DaniKatz.com. You can find her new book, Language of Betterarchy. We talked about that on Macroaggressions. That episode is out right now. The guys from Grimerica, Darren Grimes and Graham Dunlop. Love those guys. They're fantastic. Grimerica.ca, AdultBrain.ca. They are each the voices of 2 of my audiobooks. So I hear them in my head even when they're not on this show. Jeremy Slate from Command Your Brand. He'll talk to you all day long about the Roman Empire and make it super fucking interesting too. I've had him on. He's fantastic. And Mike is not here out fighting the New World Order. We appreciate his hard work and service. Check out OBDMpod.com and go check out OBDM on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern and Saturdays at noon Eastern. Ricky, what are you up to?
Got my YouTube channel back, so if you
Congrats, buddy.
thank you. I don't know how long it'll last, but for now, if you want to check out the YouTube channel, it's on YouTube. I'm not sure what the handle is, to be honest, but I'm sure if you search it, it actually comes up now. I think if you search for the Ripple Effect podcast prior,
Nice.
you didn't see anything. So now that's hopefully we'll get some organic new listeners, but it's there, and slowly we're uploading everything since I got banned. So if you want to go in a time machine and get refreshers for all the crazy shit that happened in 2021, 2022, and so forth, subscribe to that. But you can find all these links and more at the rippleeffectpodcast.com. Some new merch, and I don't know, that's about it. I mean, I got a bunch of guests coming up that I'm excited about, so just check out the ripleeffectpodcast.com for all those links, and I guess I'll talk to you guys. Oh wait, we got Charlie.
Monica Perez. Check out the Monica Perez show. Also, she's been doing a fun show with her boy Morich and Parallel Mike, where the 3 of them get down to business. I forget the name of it though. I watched it once. I was like, damn, it's a good show. So check that out. Macroaggressions.io is the place to find that. Hopefully you are at activistpost.com and you're getting your news over there, as well as Natural Blaze for your alternative health articles. I've got David Icke coming on the show on Sunday. So check that out. We got done. I was supposed to have him for an hour. I got him for an hour and 40 minutes. We just kept going. When we got done, he goes, man, I think that was the best one we've done. I agree. So when it is out, go check out David Icke on Macroaggressions for the 4th time.
Thank you, guys. We'll
Thanks,
see
everybody.
you soon.
Thanks, Ricky.
Thank
Great
you.
show.
Thank you, Ricky. Thank you, everyone, Charlie, for inviting me and Sam.